Hare Krishna. Hello, friends. This is See Through with me, Achita Gopi. It's a podcast where we come together and we try and gain a little bit of clarity from our spiritual texts and from our own spiritual realizations. We try to come together and create a sangha anywhere, everywhere within the world. Now you don't have to leave your home. You don't have to worry about travel times and distances and catching trains, planes, buses, automobiles. We get to just come together in a really stress-free way and go on a spiritual adventure with one another. Hopefully giving solace to the heart, hopefully giving some clarity to the mind, and giving us some ammunition to get through our week. It's a good time to do it at the beginning of the work week when everybody's kind of like sleepy and lethargic and getting back into the groove of things. What better way than to go on an adventure with our dear most friends? So welcome and thank you for being here. We have a live Zoom room available on Patreon. And then we also have our live YouTube audience. Lots of familiars in both places. So thank you for joining. So good to see you. So good to be with all of you. I think without further ado, we can get ready to go on our celebrated adventure. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we've been on a journey within Krishna Book. Krishna Book is a summary study of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of the Bhagavad Purana. The Srimad Bhagavatam is so invaluable to all of us. It is a wealth of knowledge. It is a treasure trove of Vedic history. And it really does help. It gives solace to the heart. It helps all of us gain some help when we so desperately need it. And reading the two of them side by side, Krishna Book, which is a summary of the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Srimad Bhagavatam together, if you've not done so, sometimes just take a minute to read both of them side by side. It's kind of wonderful to see how Srila Prabhupada has intertwined the purports and commentaries of our previous acharyas and the translations of Srimad Bhagavatam into this beautiful narrative. It's so expertly done, and it's kind of a first of its kind. And I feel as though so many commentators and spiritualists have been trying to do the same thing ever since. But for me, it really began with Srila Prabhupada. He's the reason I am here today. He's the reason many of us are together, taking this knowledge outside of India and spreading it to all corners of the earth is something that I am so indebted to him for. What a wonderful sacrifice, and what a wonderful mission. And it was a mission that he did not stop till the very end of his days. So I'm so thankful to Srila Prabhupada for giving us this Krishna book. We are in the 17th chapter of Krishna Book, which is kind of cool. On the 17th of April, we get to read through the 17th chapter. I feel like there's something synchronistic about that, right? There's some serendipity. I feel like Krishna wants to hear from us today. He wants to speak to us. He's yearning to spend time with us. Srila Prabhupada has assured us that when we dive into this Krishna book, we can see Krishna face to face. So this is our opportunity. Recently, we had been discussing the many pastimes of Kalia and how Kalia is so pivotal to Krishna's pastimes, how Krishna was able to give such mercy even to a serpent who was naturally kind of envious and poisonous, but everyone can have a place in the pastimes of God. Everyone can have a place within God's entourage. And we can all get by with a little help and prayer from our friends. So these are some of the lessons from the history of Kalia. Lately, I've been kind of seeing how so many people find it difficult to believe these pastimes. They can sound pretty fantastical. They can sound pretty magical. You mean to tell me that there was a serpent with 1,000 heads and God was kind of jumping and dancing on each one? It's kind of hard to believe. Why should we believe it? And to that, my counter question is, why not? Why not believe it? If we can believe that there are clouds that are floating in the sky that can carry so much rain that it can inundate and kind of wipe a place off the map. If we can understand that there have been shifts in the earth that have created entire mountains, the earth can buckle and form entire mountains. If we can believe all of that can happen, and science has found a way to have to explain it, and they have to find a way to try and explain it because these are things we can see, why not believe in it? If we can believe in a law of gravity, which is something that we cannot see, but we have to believe in because we are understanding the effects of it, why not believe in God's mercy? Why not believe in God's magic, which is something that we cannot see always, but we can feel the effects of it? Absolutely. We can feel the effects of it in the fact that our bodies are a well-oiled machine running every day. And we still don't know exactly how or why. Science can kind of tell us the mechanics of it, but why? Who in the world was thinking about, okay, let's create all of these tiny little pieces that are going to work together to make a heartbeat, to make blood run through our veins, to make air into our lungs, to then convert all of that air into energy that helps our blood supply, and all of these things that are so difficult to understand. It has taken scientists decades, years and years and years to even try and understand it. But our bodies have been working all along. That seems a little fantastical. It was fantastical centuries ago to believe that you would not get to a point where you would just go sailing off the edge of the earth. And people did it. People were so intent on their goals that they kind of understood. The understanding then was that if you went sailing too far, you'd fall off the edge of the earth. But someone said, this is worth risking my life for. And they would go sailing and discover new things, new to them, old to the people that were already there, right? They would discover new cultures. They would discover all kinds of things. So why not believe in it? There are so many things that are inexplicable that have happened on this earth. Why not believe in God's mercy in all of the ways that it shows up, in all of the many cultures that it shows up in? So this is Krishna Book for me. Krishna Book is a study in faith and belief. Can we extend our faith and belief beyond the things that we haven't even begun to imagine? Because there are so many things in this universe that I cannot even imagine. There are planets that science cannot even begin to explain because we just don't have that information yet. But still, we are throwing our imagination out there. We are extending our belief. So if we can extend our belief to have faith in a scientist or doctor or any fantastical person who has this great mind that we think of. Srila Prabhupada often says, we think the scientists have such a great mind, but we never stop to think, who created the mind of the scientist? And my goodness, isn't that some kind of amazing creator? So there are things going on beyond our perception. And if we can extend our belief to the scientists, let us extend our belief to the creators of the minds of the scientists. Let's have faith in what our acharyas tell us. Sometimes that can ruffle feathers, right? Why do I need some spiritual teacher to tell me what's what? And again, to that I say, when we go to school and when we enter a physics class or a chemistry class or a science class, we're not like, why does this teacher get to tell me all the things about what's what? We simply extend our faith to the teacher and accept what they're telling us in a mood where we are eager to learn, either because we want a good grade and we need that degree, or because we really have an interest in the subject. Let us submit our minds and our faith in a mood that we are eager to learn about our dearest friend, in a mood that we are eager to learn about the spiritual, mystical science of devotion, of faith, of bhakti. So sometimes we don't have that faith on our own, but we've come in contact with people. There are saints, prophets, mystics who have that faith. And there's a reason they have that faith. It's not just some dogma or for some fanaticism. All of the true saints of the world have seen some incredible truth in spirituality. And we can agree on certain things in that spirituality. Srila Prabhupada has often said that religion means to find out who is God and how to love them. That's it. It doesn't have to do with any particular geographical location. Doesn't have to do with any sectarian point of view. Doesn't have to do with any label that you put on yourself. Simply, true religion is to learn who is this supreme person and how to love them in whichever name, in whichever country, in whichever tradition you come from. So we are diving into bhakti. Things are going to get fantastical. And that's how I like them. The more fantastic, the better. The more outrageous, the better. Because that's my supreme best friend. I kind of don't want to think that life on this earth is all there is and that's all we got. Because it's kind of miserable for everybody, isn't it? There's no corner of the earth where everybody's just, it's utopian, it's happy, everything is fine. There's no one conquering or to be conquered. There's no one stealing or being stolen from. There's no one being controlled or trying to control others. This is happening everywhere. Everywhere there's some strife. Everywhere there's some turmoil. Even within our own selves. Even within our own minds, there's such turmoil. Our minds are telling us one thing, our hearts are telling us another. And we're constantly trying to figure out, well, who's in control? How can I be in control? So I like to dive into the fantastic pastimes of my supreme best friend, because it gives my mind an escape from all the things that are happening here. And that is a real true escape. Sometimes we read books, we go on adventures, and then we're like, oh well, time to come back to the real world. Here in spiritual life, our spiritual life is the real world. We are living the reflection. We are living just the tinge of the effulgence of the reflection of what is reality. And reality with Krishna is always an amazing adventure. There's always incredible feats and things to see, even just in the way Krishna's dressed, even just in the way Krishna looks at his dear ones, interactions with God. I've read so much about saints in every tradition, even within, I didn't realize, but there are so many mystics within the Christian tradition, even. And reading poetry from them, everyone is looking for interactions with God. Everyone is seeking this most amazing interaction with God. And then they start realizing, in order to have that interaction, I have to go deeper and deeper inside. These reactions are beginning from the heart. These interactions are happening, and the Lord is speaking to everyone from within the heart. How incredible is this? And we understand what's happening. Bhakti Yoga starts to tell us, yes, the Supreme Lord is speaking to everyone, guiding everyone from within the heart. Krishna says so many times within Bhagavad Gita, I'm seated within the heart, always seated within your heart, always ready to communicate with you from within the heart. So these wonderful pastimes give us an idea of who we are talking to, of who we're interacting with, and of what's possible. So with that, let's dive into the 17th chapter of Krishna Book. We can find it online on an online database, database.io. If you're eager to find it online, you can do so. And if you're in a book, chapter 17. So we're going to go and find out what happens when a forest fire seems to hit Krishna's loved ones and inhabitants of Vrindavan. So now, after the chastisement of Kalia, we get to journey back into the forests of Vrindavan, where the dark Jamuna runs through this wonderful village with clear streams, filled with all kinds of water birds. Some of them look like really cute fluffy ducks. I just heard about a chakwi bird. These are lovebirds, but they look like ducks. And if you get a chance, look it up on Wikipedia because they're really cute. Sometimes you look at ducks and when you see little ducklings, they're really cute and fluffy. And then as they get older, they kind of lose those fluffy feathers. Well, chakwi birds don't. They're still fluffy. And so they've got nice, wings to be able to flap, but they've also got such almost like fur feathers. And they're like a nice, beautiful golden color, almost the color of chandan, which is kind of currently being ground now in Vrindavan in anticipation of the hotter months. So these chakwi birds look like fluffy, fluffy ducks. They're really cute. And they have their mates and they kind of mate for life. And they're always with their mates. And I thought it's so cute and adorable. So everything is cute in the land of Vrindavan, a place where cows roam free and they are yearning for our affection and our attention. Just think about all of these cows not only yearning for the attention and the affection of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, but Krishna specifically. And so Krishna freely gives his affection to all of these cows, hugging them, putting his forehead against theirs, speaking to them sweetly, playing his flute with a specific melody for each and every inhabitant and each and every soul. Imagine, God has a melody that he plays just for you. Even if you have never heard of him before, God has a melody that he's playing specifically for you. All we have to do is tune into the right frequency to try and hear it. It takes a little determination. It takes some patience. But the more that we tune into that frequency, the more we get to hear that flute song of the Lord that is just for us, just calling to us. Oh, my friend, will we hear that flute song and will we respond? That's the glory of the cows. The cows hear the flute of Shri Krishna and they know Krishna's calling just to me. And then they call back with a big, big moo. So sweet. And then they go and they seek out Krishna, following that flute song to their dearmost friend. That's the simple heart of the cows. Can we have an equally simple heart? According to Western astrology, I happen to be a Taurus, which I love very much because they're cows. I feel like, you know what? God loves them. So can we adopt that simple-hearted attitude? Can we be like the inhabitants of Vrindavan? They were focused on one thing. We just want to find and seek out Krishna. Krishna is a name for God that simply means all attractive. God is all attractive, attracting all of us in the specific way that we need to be attracted most. You ever meet someone and you think, wow, they're really attractive, they're really cool, and then they speak to you and you're like, this is not resonating with me at all. And it's a little bit of a disappointment because you hope that someone who is so attractive to the eyes would be attractive to all of the senses and really attractive to the heart. They'd be able to say something that just gels with you. And then conversely, you ever see someone who's not so attractive to the eyes? There's no real reason for a bond to form, but they say the things that resonate with the heart. And it's a bond that is inexplicable now. There is no reason for me to feel such love for this person. But somehow or other, I can't explain it, but it resonates with the heart. Krishna is attractive to the senses, to the heart, to all of the above. He knows how to say and do the things that connect us at a heart deep level. And he knows how to connect us at a sense deep level also. This is our dearest friend. This is God. It is so attractive, so beautiful, so enchanting. Sometimes the only thing that is standing in the way of that enchantment is our very own minds. So, oh my Lord, oh my Govinda, you are the king of attracting the mind and the heart and the senses. Please steal away my anxieties, my worries. You are celebrated as a thief. Steal away everything that stands in the way of you and I connecting. I'm ready. I can adopt a simple-hearted attitude. I surrender in a mood of eagerness. I am eager to surrender. This is not begrudgingly. I give my heart freely. I give it all. Take away everything that stands in the way of us. So with that said, let's jump into chapter 17 of Krishna Book, Extinguishing the Forest Fire. King Parikshit, who is a descendant of Sri Krishna's own family, after hearing of the chastisement of Kalia, inquired from Shukadeva Goswami as to why Kalia left his beautiful land and why Garuda was so antagonistic to him. Shukadeva Goswami informed the king that the island, known as Nagalaya, was inhabited by serpents and that Kalia was one of the chief serpents there. Being accustomed to eating snakes, Garuda used to come to this island and kill many serpents at his will. Some of them he actually ate, but some of them were unnecessarily killed. The reptile society became so disturbed that their leader, Vasuki, appealed to Lord Brahma for protection. Now, we hear of human societies, right, having to pray to the gods and do it, but now even serpent societies. How cool is this, that the animal societies worked in the same way? And Garuda is the carrier Lord Vishnu, always in connection with the Supreme Lord. And his diet consists of many things, including snakes. But Garuda is so celebrated. He is prayed to in so many places. We are encouraged to meditate and pray to Garuda as a very, very special entity because he's always in connection with our Supreme Lord. The Lord uses him whenever he needs to go anywhere. Oh, Garuda, please come. He sits on him, puts his lotus feet on Garuda. And yet, his diet consists of something that we would think, if someone came into this international society for Krishna consciousness and they said, where I come from, in my very special place, there's a very interesting delicacy, which is consisted of snakes. We'd think, well, you've got to stop doing that in order to become a devotee. Like, this is not going to help you in your devotional life. Some people might say you can't be a devotee and continue this diet. For Garuda, it doesn't matter. There is something so much deeper going on here, friends. For Garuda, it is not an impediment on his devotional service. He has a body that can handle that. He has a body that is specifically made for this. And his body is a celestial body. Part man, part bird. He's like the king of eagles. He's got amazing like talons and wings and a beak and a strong, powerful body with arms even and legs. And he's beyond description. And if he walked into one of our temples or centers, would we accept him? It just goes to show that sometimes we have to broaden our view and accept people where they're at. Because Krishna is doing that every day. It is not my job to pass that kind of judgment. All of us are in progress. We are performing a spiritual practice. It is not a spiritual perfect. And so we all have to start somewhere. Srila Prabhupada was so beautiful with doing that. He met youngsters who were going through a lot. Many youngsters that he met at the time were on drugs, trying to get off of drugs, all kinds of things, you know? And so one devotee famously told Srila Prabhupada, I was coming here to help you in your mission, but now I have to go away because I had a court case and now I have to go to jail. Srila Prabhupada said, oh? He said, well, what for? He said, well, Srila Prabhupada, I was kind of selling drugs. And Srila Prabhupada famously jokes with him. He says, well, don't lose your determination. After all, Krishna was even born in a jail. So it's all right. How sweet is that, number one? And then number two, Srila Prabhupada said, it's okay. I also was selling drugs in my time, playing on the fact that he was a chemist and a pharmacist. And so this is our Srila Prabhupada, a founder acharya. This is an acharya. Not an acharya simply because he says, my way is right and your way is wrong. An acharya because he says, don't worry. Don't lose your determination in any stage of life, no matter what you're going through, no matter where you find yourself, even if it is within a jail cell. Krishna can meet you there. Krishna will meet you there. So simply continue on your Krishna consciousness, and eventually Krishna will make everything perfect. So if you struggle with a diet, if you are a vegetarian or you're not a vegetarian, Krishna can meet you there. Just keep trying. No one is perfect, I promise. Everyone is on a sliding scale of devotion. Just keep trying to develop that devotion within the heart. None of us is perfect. And so many of those people that Srila Prabhupada was helping grew up and evolved in their Krishna consciousness to become gurus, to become spiritual masters, to become spiritual teachers of others. We all started somewhere. So I look at Garuda, and Garuda gives great hope. His diet is not the conventional Vaishnav diet, and yet he is the greatest Vaishnav. So there is no impediment between us and God's mercy. God will find a way to give us his mercy. He will find a way in and around every barrier and obstacle in order to give us his mercy. I promise. All of our teachers and spiritual leaders promise this fact. So, even if we are not perfect now, just continue on. Srila Prabhupada said famously, within Bhagavad Gita, within a commentary on one verse, he said, even if you find yourself addicted to drinking alcohol, he said, if you can think, I am finding a source of joy in this drinking, this must be somehow Krishna's mercy. There is something in there that I'm searching for, and I'm searching for Krishna's mercy. Oh, my Lord, you help me. Krishna will give you his mercy. Krishna will give you his mercy. Krishna says, I am the taste of not just water, but of all liquids. He said, so even if you think Krishna must be the source and the essence of this liquid, Krishna will help us. Krishna will take care of the rest and somehow perfect our lives. We can't perfect our lives on our own, but Krishna can do it for us. And we have to have faith that Krishna will do it for us over and above every obstacle and struggle. So then some might say, well, Achyuta, then why? Why do we have all of these rules and regulations? And why do we have 4 regulative principles? And why are we abstaining from intoxicants and all of the, why? Because we need the help. Our souls need rehabilitation. We need spiritual rehab. We need to be able to remember God's mercy, the greatness of God's mercy. And in order to do that, we try to cut out the distractions from our devotional service. We try to give up those things that are not helping us in our devotional service. That includes internal things that don't help us in our devotional service. Not just, I've changed my diet, I've refrained from all of these things, and now I'm on the path. Everything's great. Sometimes we have to refrain and renounce those things internally that don't help us in our devotional service. The guilt, the shame, the need for control, the greed and the envy and the jealousy. We have to renounce those things as well. Those things that stop us on our path of spiritual love. Definitely the guilt. I renounce it today. It is not helping me in my devotional service. I want to renounce the guilt and simply try my best, knowing that that is enough for Krishna. And be honest with myself that some days I've tried my best and some days I know I'm not trying my best. And I can try a little bit more. I want to release and renounce the shame that is not helping me. Shaming myself is not helping me. Shaming others is not helping me in my devotional service. I want to renounce it. I want to give that up because I want to recognize when great beings are in my presence and in my company. If Garuda, with his appetite, walked into a center of mine or walked into a Govinda prayer ministry and said, I want to get to know Krishna. I want to be so eager at heart where I don't judge him and I just say, welcome, friend. Please let us talk about Krishna. Tell me what you know. Do you know anything about our Lord? What have you heard about God and about our relationship with God? How to love God? That's what I want to do. I no longer want to look at what separates all of us. I want to look at what draws us all together. Prayer that draws us all together. God's mercy that draws us all together. The examples of God's mercy that bring us all together. This is what I want to focus on. So that if anyone comes into my presence and they say, I want to learn how to love God, I can say, welcome. You absolutely can. Let's do it together. No matter what, let's let nothing stop us. So that's Garuda. So the reptile society became disturbed because Garuda was killing and eating some of them and just killing others. Lord Brahma made an arrangement by which Garuda would not create a disturbance. On each half moon day, of which there are two in a month, right? If we go towards lunar cycles, there's the half moon going towards the new moon and a half moon going towards the full moon. So on each half moon day, the reptile community would offer a serpent to Garuda. The serpent was to be kept underneath a tree as a sacrificial offering to Garuda. Garuda was satisfied with this offering, and therefore he did not disturb any other serpents. But gradually, Kalia took advantage of this situation. He was unnecessarily puffed up by the volume of his accumulated poison, as well as by his material power, and he thought, why should Garuda be offered this sacrifice? He then ceased offering any sacrifice. Instead, he himself ate the offering intended for Garuda. When Garuda, the great carrier devotee of Vishnu, understood that Kalia was eating the offered sacrifices, he became very angry and quickly rushed to the island to kill the offensive serpent. Kalia tried to fight Garuda and faced him with his many hoods and poisonous sharp teeth. Kalia attempted to bite him, and Garuda, the son of Tarksha, in great anger and with the great force deserving the carrier of Lord Vishnu, struck the body of Kalia with his effulgent golden wings. Ah, how beautiful. Kalia, who is also known as Kadru Sutta, the son of Kadru, immediately fled to the lake known as Kaliyadaha underneath the Jamuna river, which Garuda could not approach. Kalia took shelter within the water of the Jamuna for the following reason. Just as Garuda went to the island of the Kalia snake, so he also used to go to the Jamuna to catch fish to eat. There was, however, a great yogi known as Sobari Muni, whose ashram is still there. You can go to Sobari Muni's ashram. It is near Vrindavan, who used to meditate within the water there and who was sympathetic with the fish. He asked Garuda not to come there and disturb the fish. Although Garuda was not under anyone's order, being the carrier of Lord Vishnu, he did not disobey the order of the great yogi. Instead of staying and eating many fish, he carried off one big fish who was their leader. So Garuda would also eat fish and snakes. Would Garuda be able to be an ISKCON devotee? This is my question today, right? We are seeing some very interesting personalities. Would they be able to join ISKCON as they are? Would we allow them? And if not, why? How can we broaden our view within our own sanghas? Because it starts with us, right? We can't always put the blame on a temple president or this leader or that. It starts with us and in our own sanghas. Can we create a space where anyone can be Krishna conscious? Because we never know who anyone really truly is. Right? It is often said that great celestial personalities will take many, many forms, disguises, and come into our midst to try and test us, to try and test our devotion. And sometimes they're testing exactly this. Are we accepting of everyone? Are we eager to give this message of the mercy of God to everyone? So sometimes when we see very interesting looking personalities, can we think, who is this person really? Vyasadeva, famously in the Mahabharata, he showed up looking kind of homeless sometimes. He was in the forest performing many, many, many austerities. And Vyasadeva is the great commentator and writer of Srimad Bhagavatam. And so Vyasadeva showed up with like matted locks, and his body was encrusted with dirt. He didn't smell great. He had been performing lots and lots of austerities. He was very thin. He looked dirty. His clothes were disheveled. That looks kind of homeless, right? Being a New Yorker, I'm well versed in what homeless people look like. If we met someone like that in any of our centers, someone who wanted to say, I want to know about God. Will you sit and teach me? I have been going through the fire of this material life. Can you help me? Would we be eager to help that person? Or would we say, oh, no, get away from here. You smell bad. You look bad. I can't preach to you. Or are we eager to understand that there is a soul in there eager to hear about God's mercy, eager to know God has made a way for you. God has a divine purpose for your life. Because I tell you, friends, all of us, God has a divine purpose for your life. God is eager to communicate with someone, sometimes through you. If God wants to speak to someone through us, what does God want to say? What does God want the other person to hear? Does God want them to hear of his acceptance and his love and his mercy and his fantastic adventures that we can all go on? Maybe God is using you as an instrument, as a mouthpiece. Just think. So this Sobari Muni was very, very, very dear, and he had some compassion for the fish. So Sobari Muni was sorry that one of the leaders of the fish was taken away by Garuda. And thinking of their protection, he cursed Garuda in the following words. Henceforward, from this day, if Garuda comes here to catch fish, then I say this with all my strength, he will be immediately killed. This curse was known only to Kalia. Kalia, therefore, was confident that Garuda would not be able to come there, and so he thought it wise to take shelter of the lake within the Yamuna. But Kalia's taking shelter of Sobari Muni was not successful. He was driven away from the Yamuna by Krishna, the master of Garuda. It may be noted that Garuda is directly related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is so powerful that he is never subjected to anyone's order or curse. Actually, the cursing of Garuda, who is stated in the Srimad Bhagavatam to be of the stature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan, was an offense on the part of Sobari Muni. Sometimes when we see these personalities and we are not taking into account who they might be, we commit offenses. If someone comes to us, into our Sangha, into our centers, into our lives, sometimes the best thing we can do is just to say, oh, you are Krishna's guest. Even if we find it hard to interact with them and we have to interact from afar, we can understand that this is Krishna's guest. We can still have that understanding and that compassion within the heart. Although Garuda did not try to retaliate, the Muni was not saved from his offensive act against a great Vaishnava personality. Due to this offense, Sobari fell down from his yogic position and afterwards became a householder, a sense enjoyer in the material world. The fall down of Sobari Muni, who was supposed to be absorbed in spiritual bliss by meditation, is an instruction to the offenders of Vaishnavas. Anyone can be a Vaishnav. Sometimes we are meeting them in the beginning stages of their Vaishnav journey. We've seen so many Vaishnavs now. And when they came to Srila Prabhupada, they were not looking like Vaishnavs. They even looked a little homeless. But Srila Prabhupada was eager to see, in there is a soul, in there is a Vaishnav. And he cultivated that flame, he cultivated those seeds, and they grew into the leaders that we follow today. So we never know when we might be coming in contact with a potential leader. Everyone, anyone can be a potential leader. Even all of you, all of us. It's possible. We can become a potential spiritual leader. And it has nothing to do with someone else coming and giving you validation. Like, now you've got the stamp. Now you are a spiritual leader. It happens naturally through Krishna's mercy. Krishna will give us that validation. Sometimes we become spiritual leaders just for one person. And Srila Prabhupada has often said, if one person takes to this Krishna consciousness wholeheartedly, then our mission is successful. So friends, if you've spoken to one person and you have cultivated the seed of spiritual life in their heart for one person, and they perfect their lives, you've done it. You've been a spiritual leader, and that mission is successful. All of us have the potency and the potential to be spiritual leaders. We just have to take to it and know that within our hearts, Krishna simply wants us to try our best. When Krishna finally came out of Kalia's lake, he was seen by all his friends and relatives on the bank of the Jamuna. He appeared before them, nicely decorated, smeared all over with chandan pulp. That's the sandalwood pulp that everyone is grinding now. Everyone is anticipating this time when we get to see Krishna in such a unique way. Sandalwood paste is very, very cooling. I can attest to it. It actually does work. It's so cooling and such a unique thing. And Krishna looks so charming when he's covered with it. So he was smeared all over with chandan pulp, bedecked with valuable jewels and stones, and almost completely covered with gold. Oh, I love Krishna. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, cowherd boys and men, Mother Yashoda, Maharaj Nanda, and all the cows and calves saw Krishna coming from the Jamuna, and it was as though they had recovered their very life. When a person regains his life, naturally he becomes absorbed in pleasure and joyfulness. They each in turn pressed Krishna to their chests. Aww. And thus they felt great relief. Can we take shelter of these scriptures when we are feeling low and lifeless? Take these scriptures, press them to our chests, and feel the relief of Krishna's love. Mother Yashoda, Rohini, Maharaj Nanda, and the cowherd men became so happy that they embraced Krishna and thought that they had achieved their ultimate goal of life. Balaram, the brother of Krishna, also embraced Krishna, but he was laughing because he had known what would happen to Krishna when everyone else was so overwhelmed with anxiety. Balaram said, I knew all along. I knew he was never in danger. All the trees on the bank of the Jamuna, all the cows, bulls, and calves were full of pleasure because of Krishna's appearance there. The Brahman inhabitants of Vrindavan, along with their wives, immediately came to congratulate Krishna and his family members. And so sometimes we can hear everyone says, Shri Krishna ki jai, Shri Krishna ki jai, Shri Krishna ki jai. In Vrindavan, you'll hear it all over. Shri Vrindavan Bihari Lal ki jai, which means all glories to be the beloved of Vrindavan, the one who takes pleasure in sporting in this village. Everyone is proud to be in Vrindavan because that is Krishna's hometown, the hometown and the playground of God. All glories to our Supreme Lord, all glories to our dearest friend, all glories, all glories. So we can say this in our daily lives. We can wake up in the morning, Shri Krishna ki jai, it's another day that I get to give glory to my friend. Very proud of being a friend of Krishna. Very proud of our spiritual lives. So this is the mood in Vrindavan. It is a celebration. Krishna is victorious. Brahmins are considered to be the spiritual masters of society. They offered their blessings to Krishna and the family on account of Krishna's release. They also asked Maharaj Nanda to give them some charity on that occasion. Being so pleased by Krishna's return, Maharaj Nanda began to give many cows and much gold in charity to the Brahmins. While Nanda Maharaj was thus engaged, Mother Yashoda simply embraced Krishna and made him sit on her lap while she shed tears continually. Since it was almost night, and all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, including the cows and calves, were very tired, they decided to take their rest on the riverbank. We can see why. They'd had kind of an intense day, yeah? They were in anxiety and they fainted and they got back up, and Krishna was stuck there for several hours, and he's in the coils for like 48 minutes at a time, and he's doing all of these things, and then he's dancing and everybody's seeing this wonderful feat, and it was very exciting. Everybody thought, let's take a nap. In the middle of the night, while they were taking rest, there was suddenly a great forest fire. And it quickly appeared that the fire would soon devour all the inhabitants of Vrindavan. As soon as they felt the warmth of the fire, they immediately took shelter of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, although he was playing just like their child. I remember when I was reading this for one of the first times on a live, and I thought, these poor Vrindavan Vasis, they can't catch a break. Do we ever feel like that in life? One thing happens and we just gotten over that one thing, and we're trying to recover from the trauma of getting over that one thing, and then something else happens and we think, Krishna, I can't catch a break. What are we supposed to do? Why are you doing this to me? But this is also the inhabitants of Vrindavan. So when we feel as though we can't catch a break, right, as the saying goes, and when we can't even catch our breath from one calamity after the next, from one stressful thing after the next, this is how Krishna was dealing with the inhabitants of Vrindavan. We can feel like, okay, Krishna's treating us like one of his own family members. Okay, I can't catch my breath, but as I'm breathless, let me pray to you. Let's see the prayer of the Brijbasis. We can adopt this prayer in our own lives. So let's see. They began to say, "Our dear Krishna, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, our dear Balaram, the reservoir of all strength, please try to save us from this all-devouring and devastating fire. We have no shelter other than you. This devastating fire will swallow us all." So maybe the fire is not literal in our lives, but it is figurative. There is a devastating forest fire in the heart. We have spiritual heartburn. Has anybody ever suffered from like acid indigestion and heartburn? It's really uncomfortable. Spiritually, I have this. I am trying to digest spiritual knowledge and I'm having indigestion. I need help. I need Krishna. Help, Krishna. My mind is reeling. I am feeling the heat of this spiritual indigestion, of this heartburn. My heart doesn't know where to turn, and my heart doesn't know what to believe. And just when I start to really believe in your pastimes with all faith, my mind comes in. Why would you believe this? This doesn't make any sense. God is going to go and wheel around donkeys? For what purpose? Why? Shouldn't God be more concerned with helping the poor and the needy? There are so many people who are poor. Why doesn't God help them? Why doesn't God give abundance to everyone? Many of those poor people are more spiritually advanced than the ones who have abundance. Many of those poor people know how to take shelter. They know where to go when they're in trouble because there is nothing else in their way. Spiritually, they are richer than so many of us. And many of them are actually happy with just a few possessions. For most of us, the more we get, the more that we're trying to figure out how to keep it, how to maintain it, how to sustain it. I have all this stuff, now I have to maintain it. I have all this stuff, now I have to hold on to it with everything that I've got. I'm obsessed with my wealth. But for those that don't have anything, they are not obsessed with that wealth. They are obsessed with the real wealth of their lives, which is spiritual, the wealth of the heart. That is what they become obsessed with. So we can understand that God comes and performs these activities just to have interactions with us and to give us hope, to give us something to talk about, to give us something to cling to give us these prayers right here. Oh Krishna, our dear Krishna. Oh Balaram, our dear Balaram, save us from this all-devouring forest fire that is within my mind. It is trying to eat up my faith. It is burning away all of my faith in you. I know that you can help me. I know that just by looking at the cooling lake of your face and your qualities, that can extinguish this forest fire within my heart. Just as rains are falling from the clouds, I can take shelter of the cloud of your pastimes. There is a downpour of mercy waiting for me in your pastimes. It can extinguish the great forest fire in my heart. The great forest fire of doubt, which is all consuming. Save me, save me, save me, O Lord. Thus they prayed to Krishna, saying that they could not take any shelter other than his lotus feet. Lord Krishna, being compassionate upon his own townspeople, immediately swallowed up the whole forest fire and saved them. This was not impossible for Krishna because he is unlimited. He has unlimited power to do anything he desires. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 17th chapter of Krishna, Extinguishing the Forest Fire. I really love that it is such a short, it's such a short explanation. He swallows the forest fire, end of chapter. Like, that is a natural thing for God to do. Of course, like, simple. It's like, what would happen if there was an all-consuming forest fire? God would feel hungry and simply swallow the whole thing. End of pastime. And we move on. It's almost like all in a day's work. There's nothing even so extraordinary about this. Like, of course he would. Can we get our hearts to be that simple? It's a big deal, isn't it? You know, that's the hardest thing, is to get the heart to remember its simple nature and to just submissively accept. What I love is looking for things that I didn't know or didn't remember. It helps me to develop my submissive inquiry. Sometimes when we read a pastime and we think we know everything, we can't hear submissively. We can't interact with scripture submissively because, you know, we know everything already. What can you teach me? So if we go in with this attitude of, what can I learn from this? What didn't I know? I kind of did not remember at all that the community of snakes had gone to Lord Brahma to say, help, we are facing this problem. Oh, Lord Brahma, can you help us as creator of the world? And Lord Brahma did help. He created this situation. And so that was something that I didn't remember. And I feel as though Shastra, scripture, was really interacting with me today as I think of building a space where others can come to be spiritually enlivened. That was such a message for me. Accept everyone, Achyuta, regardless of what they look like, regardless of the body that they have, regardless of the diet that they have when they come to you. Can you accept everyone? Can you accept that everyone is just waiting to be Krishna conscious? Everyone is waiting to reawaken their Vaishnav tendencies and lives. Can I do it? That is such a challenge. I'm eager to take it up. I'm so eager to rise to the occasion because my spiritual masters and my spiritual teachers believe that I can. They have faith that everyone can become a spiritual leader, that we can all cultivate these qualities of compassion, and we can all become loudspeakers of Krishna's glories and mercy, of God's love and mercy in everyone's life. So thank you for that. Thank you for coming here. There are so many of you. It's like there's like 30 of us, you know, that we're constantly listening and enjoying, and so many people were coming through. I want to thank you for being here. This is exactly what I needed. And I feel so much love and encouragement from all of you. My heart gets filled up by these different sanghas. So thank you for allowing me to rise to the occasion, to make my spiritual masters and my spiritual teachers proud. This is the true heartbeat of my life. It is discussing Krishna's pastimes and gaining some relief from the forest fire that is out there, because it is a fire. There is misery everywhere on this planet, right? And we can sometimes become so tired trying to help everyone through that misery. But we can just come back to this prayer. Oh Krishna, our dear Krishna, mine and yours. Our dear Balaram, mine and yours. Oh reservoir of all strength, please try to save us from this forest fire. There's a fire brewing in my mind and my heart. It's trying to swallow up everything good. But there's a fire of bhakti. There's a fire of passion that can combat that fire. You can carry us out of that forest fire of doubt and into the fire of preaching your pastimes and your glories. All we have to do is follow what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. And all he simply said was, tell everyone you meet how amazing Krishna is. That's it. Tell everyone you meet how amazing Krishna is, in however which way you choose to do it. It can simply be, look at how beautiful nature is. And I've heard that the artist is even greater. It's as simple as that. So simple. Look at, if you know a rocket scientist, it's like, look at how many innovations have come through science. And I've heard that the person who makes the minds of the scientists is even greater. I've heard that he loves to play. I've heard that he loves to go on adventures. And I've heard that he loves to spend time with each and every one of us. Every time we sit down to chant God's names, we can hear the flute song that is playing just for us. We started this with trying to hear God's flute song. Now we can judge this Sangha. Did we hear it? I feel like I did. I feel like I heard a little bit. And I felt like Krishna was asking, will you accept everyone? Can you see my devotees, even if they don't look the same? Can you see my devotees, even if it looks like they don't come from the same place? Kalia and his family live in the islands of Fiji. How can we say that Krishna has not been everywhere on this planet? Kush, the descendant of Sri Ram, went and established his kingdom in Africa. How can we say that God has not traversed everywhere on this earth? There are places in the Amazon that know of great serpents, that know of these incredible personalities that defy explanation, except within the Vedas. How can we say that Krishna has not blessed every single corner of this planet and beyond? We can't. There are so many things in this world that defy our explanation. That's where Krishna comes in. So I feel as though this song of Krishna's today was asking, can you accept me everywhere, anywhere that I show up? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that we should enter into different cultures. We should observe different religious rituals, and we should look at them and say, look at how my friend is being worshipped. Look at how my Lord is being praised. Look at faith. This is Krishna magic. Look at how it shows up in so many different places. It's amazing. Amazing. I remember when they first came out with that, avatar thing with all the blue people. And I was thinking, look at how fantastic. Everybody likes to look at blue people. Me too, I've always liked to look at a blue person. Like, my Lord is so blue. Look at how amazing this is. So anything can be connected to Krishna if we allow our minds to dive into the lake of Krishna's pastimes. Will we take the medicine? I feel like today I did. I did spiritual therapy today. I dove into Krishna's pastimes and I allowed myself to believe. It's part of therapy, right? Sometimes you've got to believe that it's going to work. Otherwise, you won't open up. We have to believe that this process can work. Otherwise, we don't open up. And if we don't open up, Krishna reciprocates in kind. He won't open up. But if we do open up, if we become vulnerable, Krishna shows us his entire world, which is better than Aladdin's. But he does take us on a magical journey through his entire world. There's so much magic, friends. All we have to do is believe that it's going to work. It's already working. Your day is already getting so much better. The problems might not seem like they are solved immediately, but the solution is coming. Just as the solution came for Krishna's townspeople. He's not leaving you stranded. He is preparing us, building us, softening us, opening us to infinite possibilities. I promise, friends, the day is already getting better. All we have to do is believe. So I wish you faith on this day. I wish you hearing Krishna's beautiful flute song. I wish connection. I wish you magic. And I wish us all the power of prayer. It's right there. And all that prayer has to be is a conversation. Oh, my friend, look at how my day is going. Oh, my friend, look at how my day is going. Same sentence, different mood. But it's just a conversation. Thank you, my dear friend, for allowing me to be in this Sangha, for allowing this space to take shape, for allowing me the ability to pray for others, for allowing me this chance to come together and make my life perfect. If you do nothing else today, friends, you've done some amazing devotional service. Just by hearing, just by listening, just by being enthusiastic, just by putting up a comment, by showing a heart, by showing your support, that's devotional service. And I pray that you hear Krishna's message today, that you feel our friend speaking to you from within the heart. You are never, ever alone. You are always accepted. You are always loved. You are always cherished. You are more than enough for Krishna. You are enough to become Krishna's devotee. You are enough to become spiritual. You already are. All we have to do is believe in that magic. Take up your superpower again and remember who you are. Thank you for being with me. Thank you so much. There are so many people here. I'm seeing our regulars in YouTube and some new people. Ashi, thank you for being here. I'm seeing Annie Pepper, I see you. Thank you for being here. Chelsea, thank you for being here. A new face, thank you. Please come back next Monday. We'll be together again going through another adventure. We'll hear about killing the demon Pralambasura. And we'll talk a little bit more about extinguishing this forest fire. I'll come back with a couple of new points on that. And then we'll jump into Pralambasura and see what happens there. What's going on with this guy? Why is he a demon? What's happening? But we'll figure it out. Thank you again. I'm looking forward to seeing all of us next week, where we can come together in the middle of the week. Keep listening for that flute song. And write me a message. Let me know how it shows up in your life. Every day, that flute is there. I promise. Let's hear it together. Thank you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In those names of God, there is ultimate magic. It is an incantation. It is an invitation into God's love and God's mercy. Praying you see it today. Shri Krishna Book, Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada, Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham, Ki Jai. Shri Krishna Chandra Bhagavan, Ki Jai. All glories to our illustrious assembly. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda, Ki Jai. Virtual Vrindavan Dham, Ki Jai. Until next time, I'll see you all soon. Hare Krishna, friends.